Welcome back to the Pilates Exchange. I'm your host, Hannah Teutcher, and we have a guest
Hello, my name is Christian. I'm back again.
back again. Um, we are back on the Pilates Exchange. Just for those of you that don't know us, or why we do this podcast. This podcast is for Pilates teachers, studio owners, movement instructors, and what we do is we help you with your business, the business of teaching, the science of teaching, and all the good stuff that comes along with it. So, this episode is going to be for Pilates studio owners and movement teachers specifically, but anyone else is, of course, welcome to join us on all the good stuff. This is not, if you've been paying attention the last episode, we wanted to give you some tools and strategies and safety nets, ideas about systems to help you prepare for when things go not the way that you want them to. And it's really not about being pessimistic or worst case thinking, nothing like that. It's really about care and sustainability and responsibility for yourself and your business and the passion that you have. Does that sound right, Chris?
Exactly, I just want to add it's more like realistic, not pessimistic, or
Yeah.
this, I think it's the right word for it.
So this episode really isn't, like Chris is saying, building perfect systems. It's about building enough support so that in a crisis, everything doesn't collapse. And I really think that redefining, like where we talk about like this sort of thinking, we're talking about resilience, right? And I believe that resilience is often misunderstood. I don't think it's just about being tough and powering through things. I think it's about sharing and infrastructure and safety nets. And yes, it is about mindset, but it's a lot about your preparedness before. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I think so. And sometimes, most of the time, you don't even know what you need in a crisis or which things already set up. Maybe you have already some things, and then when you have a crisis, you're like, oh, I didn't know it. It makes sense. All the years, all the seconds I invested every day, bookkeeping or something like that, that will then you will find that out.
Yeah, because like that, resilience is shared. It's systems, it's documentation, it's people knowing what to do when you're not available. It's about not just weighing everything on yourself, because in hard times, it's resilience is it's more than what one person can carry, and thankfully we're not alone. And resilience, yeah, those systems, that's caring for yourself and caring for the people that are around you. Yeah. Let's give them a little bit of a update, because for those that listened last week, about where you're at right now, Chris.
Right now, I'm waiting for appointments and just reports and stuff. So I have in 2 weeks I have my final, what do you call that, doctor's talk exam, where they put all the information like a CT scan, and they took also a little biopsy out the last time they went in January. And so far there are like kind of good news. They couldn't find in my bladder any cancerous tissue anymore. Everything looked, like the doctor said, completely normal.
Yeah. So now it's putting the biopsy results with the CT scans, and seeing what those next steps are. And if it goes the way that we hope and everything that you've set up, then it will be on maintenance. And once we get to that point, then we will do an episode once we know what those steps are. So hang on tight. We'll let you know when we have new information. Do you have anything to add to that, Chris?
No, yeah, just what the thing what came to my head is just everything is kind of on hold because all vacation plans, everything which is after this appointment, because it makes no sense to plan right now something you don't know really the outcome of something. So I don't know if you're waiting for something and then it's that kind of booking now a vacation and then you don't know if you can take that vacation because you maybe have to do some aftercare or you have to do some other treatments. So now everything is on hold and then like like the water is coming to a dam, it's just waiting right there, and then after hopefully the dam is like kind of releasing the water and then everything goes out and then you can do your planning, and then I hope that makes sense. It's just kind of a little bit an excitement before, like when we used to dance, like before the premiere or something like that,
Mm,
just a little bit, and then finally it's over, it's out, and then everything is more like relaxed.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what that means practically for us is that, Chris, you haven't been teaching since August,
Yeah,
later.
yeah, September, I believe, something like, yeah, September
Okay.
2025.
So that you had your first surgery, and then there was a little break, and you came back and you taught a little bit, and then you were off again, and so but practically you haven't been really in the studio. We're going to circle back to that idea a little bit later because today's really about structure, functions, strategies, about getting through different things. So we had a lot, had really had to work a lot to make our systems work. And thankfully, we had been working on our structures before. And really, like I said at the beginning, the point of this episode is to not to scare you guys, but to help you start thinking about what you know what you can do, not as like disaster preparedness, but what you could do to make sure that your teaching business stays stable before you actually need it. Because we had to learn, like, we were at a good spot, but we had to learn some lessons pretty darn quickly. And the emotional impact of everything was a lot, was harder than we kind of expected. Yeah. Let's talk about financial safety nets. This is one that I don't think, this is very system dependent. Also, system meaning that we live in Germany. We have different systems than some of our listeners around the world. The ones that I'm most familiar with are the American system and, of course, the German system. But outside of those social systems, which we will get to, having a financial safety net, emergency funds, even if they are imperfect ones. So we have always put a little bit of money to the side to make sure that we can get through hard times. And that was important to me always to have there. We never thought that this was going to happen to us, but having that on the side was also it's like a nervous system regulation, knowing that we're not going to go under, knowing that I could still pay my team, knowing that we have enough for our mortgage and all those things. Was that something that was on your mind ever, Chris?
No, the like in the end, I never really expected. I was always afraid there will happen something to you or to the family. I never had it on my screen that it was something to me. I was not expecting that. But that's why it's also important because, for example, COVID also happened without wanting to have the pandemic back. It's always good that you have systems in place where you can, okay, this month is going to be a little hard, but I still have a little money on the side. So my business is not going down.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to be like kind of greedy and hold the money back, but it makes sense.
So, like, and I think what it means is it allows you to have more time to make thoughtful decisions and not reactive ones regarding your business. Thankfully, that was the way that I had run the studio before, say, the pandemic, was always having enough money set aside where the business can run without us for several months. And then that was something that we rebuilt as priority number one after the pandemic as well, which did help us in this situation to make sure that we both felt comfortable, not having to hustle, and that I could take time off and spend time with you.
Yeah, it was just you always told me that you want to have at least 6 months. Like imagine there's you won't make any money for 6 months and your business can still survive. This is quite a good number. It sounds like a lot, but it gives you also freedom if you want to invest, if you want to upgrade, or if you need to maintain things that you have like
Yeah.
little money on the side and you can move quick. Or for example, you get a good offer of equipment or something like that, some sales here and there, and then you're like, okay, here's the money. It's just not, you don't have to wait and ask for it. It sometimes takes longer.
And that is, depending on your business structure, that could be, a big number or a little number, and that maybe right now it feels unattainable, especially if you're. We're going to do a lot of finance talks in the coming episodes. So if you're not feeling comfortable with that 6 month number, don't worry, we'll get to you. But number one, even if you don't have that number, it's just routinely making sure that you're getting paid and that you are putting money to the side. If it's a 1%, putting to the side without fail every month, that's the first start, and it's a really important one that you should take. That would be one of the biggest takeaways of this episode, I think. Shall we? Do you have more for? I just want to put one more thing before I ask for your final thoughts about finances, Chris. An emergency fund doesn't make you pessimistic. It just gives you time. Like that, I think that's what it is. It really just gives you that time and the space so you could be thoughtful about whatever decisions you need to make in your particular situation.
Yeah, yeah, it's just, I think it's also an investment in yourself, into your business, that for the long term, you just set up for success, that you can, like I said, move on a good offer on something, or whatever. All of a sudden there's this another studio next door opening up, and you just break through the wall, and then all of a sudden you have twice as much space, and you can always do what you wanted to do, and you can move real quick and say, yes, I'm going to take it. And if you're going to wait this 1 or 2 months before you get a loan from a bank or something like that, then the business or the opportunity is gone. No, it's not only one reason. It's just not that reason. It's just one reason. And I know, like Hannah said, 6 months of having money on the side sounds like surviving your business without making any. It's a big number, but if you sit down, and you never know what's going to happen, so it's always good
Always good to
to
think
have. Yeah.
like a gold standard. That would be really good.
Yes.
We are moving into next big topic is standard operating procedures, so your SOPs and documentation of things. We are always trying to document what we're doing. We have a team of people that are working inside the studio, and then Chris and I are mostly doing the online side of our studio. And thankfully, actually, right before, so it was at the beginning of 2025 where we started to relook at all our SOPs. Again, that was like a blessing in disguise. It was really like so slogging through. It was so annoying, because it's about documentation of the things that you do and why you do them and how you do them so that other people could do those tasks. And it's not about control. It's just about the continuity of things. And it allows other people on your team, or the people that your support system, to be able to step in and help you without being in panic and without guesswork. And do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can give just an example. If you, for example, like in my case, you cannot spend so much time in the studio, and you have your standard operation procedures, which are SOP, I think so. If you can train other people, and other people know what you want, for example, when someone comes in the studio for the first time, it's exactly written down what you have to say, that you guide the person, show them the studio, for example, and then you just like from a distance, you can, I'm at the hospital right now, go and look in this folder or in this one, and please, can you teach someone, for example? And then
So
the person knows exactly what to do.
yeah, it's like the handbook for your business of
Yeah.
how do you want things to be handled if there is a late cancellation, how do you want that to be handled? If someone wants to stop their membership, what's the procedure of doing that? What if how are payments being recorded? When are you doing, like all of those types of things are when you are the you are running your own business and you are taking the majority of that workload. If you're not there, do they know where to find, for example, if there's a, oh, let's say if a pipe breaks, do they know how, does your teacher know who to call? If you need to order more toilet paper, where are they going to get the funds? Where do they even look for more toilet paper? Like all of those like really banal things require time and effort. And if you are on, if it's all written down and it's all thought about, it just makes it easier to hand off. And the truth is that most of us as studio owners, we're, in the beginning time, you're doing everything, right? You're wearing all hats all the time, and when you start really thinking about those SOPs, you realize, maybe I don't need to be doing this. Maybe someone else can be taking over this role or that role or some of these tasks, and so it lightens your load. So this would be another thing that I would really spend some time thinking about, like what is really necessary for you as the business owner to be doing, and can you hand off stuff?
Yes, exactly. That's also because most of the people, like you said, they start a business, they want to do everything themselves. Maybe they don't trust other people. They have the keys, and then they always wait for you to open the door for your employees, for example. And then there's one day we have like snow or whatever out there, you're like a couple minutes late, and then nothing's going. It's just a really simple example, but you have to then, of course, learn how to trust other people and give tasks away and buy yourself some time.
That's so true. And exactly, Chris, it's a lot about trust. And if you have good documentation and good understanding about what teaching people what they need to do, then you could lean into that trust from your team. So a lot of that will also be like, is your mission, vision, and values, are they clear to you, and have you taught your team about them? Because your team doesn't need to be micromanaged. Hopefully, if you have the right people around you, they understand the why of your business, the why of your studio, the why, all of that, so that you can trust them over controlling them if they understand those things.
Exactly.
Um, we'll spend a whole nother episode on talking about that and how we can communicate better. But I think when the people understand, when your team understands mission and values, they make good decisions even when things are unclear. And I have to say, I'm so thankful for our team of people that work with us, because they have been such a blessing during this entire year. We have the best team, hands down.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree. That's where they were. They were so helpful, so supportive when they saw that we were struggling a little bit. They were just like, I do it," and then they didn't like kind of. I mean, like, of course, they contacted us as there is some big issues, but it was not just like they didn't call for any little things, so they just took decisions for right now for themselves, which were of course good for the business. So that was also on our side kind of like, yeah, the business can go on. There are some people you trust. People are taking care, taking good care, because if you ideally find someone who's taking care of your business like you would do, then you have the right people. And then you should also keep them and try to make everything to keep them, and not just only here's 10 cents, for example, just that's your
And
That's your salary.
I think it's a lot of it, that alignment creates safety, safety for the team, but it's also safety for the clients, because that continuity of care, the team is working together and the team is delivering, excellent classes for your clients, for your community.
Yeah, that's a good topic where you say clients that, of course, I had a couple of personal training clients. We had to move on to different ones. And some people are like, ah, it's really easy. And some other ones, ah, I don't want to try it. So we kind of did not convince them like you have to, but we just, why don't you just try? And now everyone is super happy. That's
Right.
also a good thing in the studio, for example, in this crisis, that other people or people always want to have the same coach, let's say the same, so they feel comfortable. And then if you try a different one, maybe you would discover something new, something else, and it gives also for the business. If you, for example, on vacation, that someone else can take that solo client. And also the solo client is okay with that because the solo client would have never tried the new teacher without this one. So it also, not only crises are coming with bad things, so maybe there are also some good things.
Right. Yeah. So absolutely. So you get some more space for yourself. I think this is something where that client care and continuity, I think we could have done better. And this is something that we've talked about improving, as we go forward, because we really, of course, no one expects like in a medical situation like what you've been through, but I think that so the way we handed over clients, of course, we allowed them to choose if they would like to work with someone new, and we have a very mature team of teachers working with us. So that was easy for them. But I think going forward, taking more client notes so that handoff is easier, because we had to do it, sort of think about it during that moment and say, okay, well, this person, these are all the client notes. And, you work with someone for years and years and you don't think about what that handover could look like. So going back and reviewing that every once in a while. Also, what would also another step that we are going to be implementing, we haven't done it yet because there's been a lot on our plate, but getting like a sample class of each format that you teach. We offer a lot of different formats, so that if a teacher were to not be able to take that class, we can hand over notes to the substitute teacher and they feel more supported. That's just one area that we did okay in, but that's something that I really would like to revisit going forward. And it
Or
protects.
for
Go
example,
ahead.
yeah, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. Or in your software system, whatever you use, that you can leave notes about injuries, about goals of that client, of that person, what you've been working on. And I think that's also important for someone who's taken over the class to get as much information as possible. It makes it easier to plan or to plan a class.
Yeah, absolutely. And it protects the client, it protects the teacher, and the relationship. And again, it's that continuity of experience that you want your clients to have, and your team to have. It's less stress for your teachers if they're going above and beyond, like our team did. Less stress there if they have something to work with. No. Any notes on that one?
No, I think, yeah, yeah,
That's a good
I'm
one.
good.
All right. Good one. All right. Next up, thinking about a software. If you're using software in your in your studio, software that supports you and what you're trying to reach. So everything from automating what you can with the software that fits your business, from scheduling, payments, how are they communicating? What's the communication process there? Yeah. So it's, how do I say it? Like it's your software is the face of your business a lot of the time. And you have to choose a good one because you are partners in that whole, and the whole business.
it should make your life easier, not your life more difficult. If you have then the schedule there, people can book in online and purchase things, so they don't always have to wait for you when you're in a business. Ah, can I have a new time class called? You just do it online.
Exactly. If there's substitutions that need to happen, how is that going to, what process is going to happen? How are you going to notify your clients? That could be part of your software system. Again, communications of like what sort of automations are there, payment reminders. All of that needs to be thought about when you're choosing a software system that's going to support you. And I do really think that is a major part of good business decisions, because it's not like your charisma doesn't scale, right? Like you could be the greatest person in the world and that can't scale a business, but the systems that are behind it is what not only scales the business, but the systems that protect the business. And this software, good software, it doesn't replace human connection, not at all. It just protects it and it enhances it. So when someone has to step away unexpectedly, it's the systems that are going to keep the experience consistent and respectful. I would say respectful for the clients, but also the team. What do you think, Chris?
Yes, exactly. It's an important factor now also, because people are just, they don't want to just book a class at 10 o'clock in the morning. They maybe want to book a class at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at midnight. And they want it, really want it. And that's why they have their app or whatever you use, and you go online and just, okay, I want my reformer class, and I want to, there's one spot left. I got an email notification that someone, if, a spot is free now. So, and you want to do it right now. It's just, the world is getting, it's turning faster. So you have to go with it. You have to flow with it.
Right. And just like you're saying, the system has to meet your clients where they're at, because yeah, like when I started this business 11 years ago, started the studio, I was doing everything by hand and on my phone and keeping notes, and there was no system in the beginning, but people would call, at 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I'm hungover, or I'm still drunk. They're not even hungover. I can't come to class. Like you have to put this is part of putting boundaries and good systems in place, is having a software that does that hard work, the grind in the background.
Yes.
And on that note, I actually want to thank Offering Tree for sponsoring this season of podcasts, because running a Pilates business means juggling scheduling, payments, marketing, and so much more. And Offering Tree really does get it. They built an all-in-one platform for Pilates professionals, handling scheduling, payments, marketing, and your whole website. And what I love is that they're not just a software, they're really a community that supports you every step of the way. So for our listeners, get 50% off your first 3 months or 15% off the year at offeringtree.com/Pilates Exchange. That's offeringtree.com/Pilates Exchange, because you should spend less time on admin, more time on teaching. Again, offeringtree.com/Pilates Exchange. On that note, I would like to talk about your online presence of your studio. And I don't mean social media. I mean on-demand content as a safety net, because that is something that, Chris, you and I have spent a lot of time doing the last 6 years, creating workouts for people that support them even when we're not there, when we're on vacation, not even, we're not talking about crisis, but vacation.
Yeah, maybe your vacation is a crisis. No, I mean, that's just what I want to say. It's just not a crisis. You just have a vacation and you are teaching by yourself. You're alone in the studio, and then you have like a couple of videos that people can do. Otherwise, sometimes people, the class is not happening, and then it's hard. They lose their momentum, and then it's hard to get them back in the studio. That's also a really good thing.
Yeah, so we have like well over
So,
700 videos that so on demand videos that we've made. We still live stream. I live stream right now. We have PDFs that we've made, like all sorts of different programs that we've made that support our clients that are not only, so we have our, let's say, our online clientele, our community, and then the people that are in the studio, and they both talk to each other. There's I meaning like the systems that are there both support each other that's there. So even when Chris hasn't been creating new content, we've been reusing, or all of the old videos and workouts that he's made in the past. People are still doing that, and they're commenting on it, and they feel supported by him even though he hasn't been in for months and months. Yeah.
yeah, it's just, yeah. I know you didn't want to talk about the online presence, but if you want to keep up your work on social media, that you, for example, use videos or make them shine in a completely different way, and it doesn't mean that it loses value. Most of the people, they post their content 2 or 3 times because not everyone is seeing that all the time. So maybe then it makes sense that maybe you record it from a different angle and then you just use it to showcase your on-demand library or something like that, or to keep your social media flow. That's
Yeah.
also a nice thing. So it's not, oh yeah, this is an old video, I cannot use this one. Use it. No
Yeah.
one's
So,
gonna come to you and tells you, oh, you used this video in July 2025 again. Because not the same people are always watching your, it's because of the algorithm. You always have different people watching your social media account, for example. So
right. Right. So like there's those two aspects of it. We have like our online studio with workout, like full length workouts, and that's one thing. And then during creating that, we've done a lot of social media stuff, which is what Chris is talking about, and both of them are really important because the the marketing of your studio has to be ongoing. We don't get breaks in there. You have to be present in some way. So creating, something that we could recommend is like creating a social media kit, where it could be handed off to someone else to create. What are the colors that you use? What's sort of the wording that you use? And then something that we rely a lot on is auto programming tools. So we'll, in our show notes somewhere, we'll put a link on what we use, because that, like Chris is saying, that like for his social media channel, we reused since July, pretty much, old videos. Maybe it was a little
yeah,
bit longer
older,
than.
and then when I had some time in between where I felt like kind of back in business, let's say, it was also good to do some movements myself, to record myself again.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like kind of a mix, but mostly 80-90% was already content we used before.
Yeah, because showing up consistently doesn't mean you're always having to create something new. Yeah, because those systems that you're using can hold your presence when you can't hold it. So we'll put the link to the one that we use in the show notes. But that is a big, it takes a lot of time. No, it helps with a lot of time wasted on going to all of those different social media channels. Depends. We don't recommend doing all the ones that we do. We do quite a lot. In time of crisis, you don't want to be spending time on that, but you do want to have a system that works for you. So that, at least for the marketing part of it, but we could talk about that. If you're interested, you let us know and we will go deeper into that idea. Do you have any more words on that one? Marketing, social media?
No, I think
No. Okay.
we said quite a few important things for people
Okay.
to try out or to think about.
For that part. So the next big thing I want to talk about, which is kind of a bigger subject, and we're just going to go an overview of the system, because the systems that are in place that supported us being in Germany are different than within other countries. And it is not to say that this is better, it's just to understand how different systems can work. And what we believe is really important to start pushing for if this is not your current system. So we're going to be mostly talking about, like I said in the beginning, Germany versus the US, and what employee protections are there. So yeah, because well, healthcare. Let's say, first of all, I have all of our teachers are employees. That means that we have health care for them, and retirement, and sick leave, and maternity leave, and
Vacation,
vacation, paid
vacation.
vacation. And so it offers them a lot of employee protections, which I really do stand behind. When people hear that, they, at least in our country right now, that means that I pay, as the employer, I pay a percentage of their social
Security.
responsibilities. So, like
Mhm.
Social Security, like it'd be similar to that, and their healthcare. I pay a portion of it, and they pay the other portion is garnished straight from their paycheck. They don't see it. It goes straight into the healthcare system, and they get to choose what insurance that they would like to have, and all of that is regulated by the government. What the Is that correct, Chris?
Yes.
So it's still a
Yeah,
private
yeah.
company. The healthcare providers, the insurance providers, let's say, are still regulated by the government, so that there's no price gouging.
Yeah, it's just not, but it's a little detail. The health insurances are allowed to have an extra percentage fee now to, so that's why sometimes you can also change because this health insurance, for example, raise this little percentage and then you can save a little bit more depending on how much money you make and stuff. But it's to be correct.
Right. So altogether, what are we at? Like, if you add those two percentages up, it would be about 15% goes into the social system. Is that correct?
No, in total,
In total?
like unemployment, healthcare, and all the stuff.
No,
I think
just
it's
the
almost
healthcare.
just at, yeah. I think it's, yeah, something at 15, 16%. Yes,
Right. So what that means is, though, um, you get a lot for that. The system is set up where you got to choose your health plan, right? Yeah, what I mean, you had your diagnosis, everything went very fast. Some people get really scared with a universal, like socialized healthcare. They think that it's going to take months and months. That's not the case. You were, from moment of, hey, this is something's going on, into that first surgery was like three
3 weeks.
weeks 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And you get to choose the doctors that you want. There's no like, oh, it's, only this provider. No, you choose the the doctors you want, and you haven't had any or very little extra costs. There are many extra costs, but they're so inconsequential to the whole grand scheme of things. Had this happened in the United States and we weren't set up with a healthcare, with a insurance provider, this would have bankrupted us for sure. But that's not the case here.
yeah. If you, yeah. I mean, of course, you get recommendations from the doctor to which hospital you can go, what kind of therapy they offer there, and you decide by yourself, and you're allowed also to have a second opinion. Then we went also to get a second opinion to a bigger town just to get a second opinion, and this is also covered by the health insurance, which is really really nice. That always made me like kind of concentrate on my healing and not
Yeah.
just like thinking about, oh, can I do this treatment only that costs too much money, or can I do this one? No, it's too expensive. No, you just kind of you get the best care.
Yeah. And
And
so,
I mean, you can have, oh, sorry, you can also have an extra insurance. Then you can have a single room or something like that. Like with everything else, if you fly first class, you have to pay extra. You can always get more if you want to, but we're talking about the one from the where everyone must have. In Germany, you must have a health insurance as soon as you have a contract, a working
yeah,
contract.
yeah. So this is, um, it's been such a relief from growing up in the American system to seeing the care that's provided here has been an incredible relief. Like we could just sleep easier at night knowing that we have those choices. And then I think another interesting part of this thought, because there's other systems that are in place. So there's a system that takes care of the employee, right? So that's you. And then there's another system that takes care of the employer, because of course if I'm paying for all this other the socials for all of my trainers, that is a huge that's a big extra part of money that's going out. But after, was it 42 days of being sick,
Yeah.
I think that's it. Then there's other systems that take place that equalize his missing paid, the paycheck that has to go out. He gets paid also during this time. That's
So
also
so
a portion, right? Go ahead.
basically, you can be, like, if you get the doctor's note up to 42 days, which is, yeah, like, 6 weeks, and then in these 42 days your employer must pay you. And after these 42 days, the health insurance is taken over. Of course, you don't get what you got before. I think it's 70 or 72% of your income after taxes you will get from the health insurance for up to 18 months. So then the business is not, or the employee is not paying anything, the health insurance is taken over, and you still get money while you're sick. Of course, it's not that much because you're not working, but at least getting money while you're sick is already a big thing because your costs are the same. It's
Yeah.
not that you all of a sudden at home and you stop eating, you stop paying rent, you know. So that's why it's also such a big relief to have that in place.
And then as the studio, then the other part of it is that the studio is then being also supported by the systems, so that I didn't have to brunt the entire cost of all of that on my own, that then eventually the systems took over his paycheck to make sure that he got paid, and then it freed up.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Chris, you can
yeah, and
explain it
it
better.
freed up. Yeah, then basically it allows you as a business owner to hire a different person.
Right.
Yeah,
So that then I have a
after this 42 days.
exactly. So then it frees up those funds that I can hire a person for a short term contract to make sure that the client's needs are still, classes are still running. I can't teach them all, so that we have a person that's in there that has was able to take that, and I wasn't losing too much. It wasn't too scary or too much strain on that system of the
And then also
financial side.
you didn't have to take over my classes, for example, or stuff,
Right,
things
right.
like that, you know,
And
because the classes were there and people wanted to take these classes. And then if I'm all of a sudden not there, I mean, 42 days, or people are going to be like, okay, it's fine, but I want this class, I want to, I'm paying for this subscription, whatever. And then it's good that we then had the funds to find a different teacher.
right, right. And I mean, we have an amazing community that's in the studio, but we also, we have to live up to the promise of delivering classes. And that's the requirement of that, that contractual agreement. And although they have a lot of patience and a lot of caring and a lot of compassion for our situation, it's not like they were going to sit around too long and wait and say, okay, like we'll wait until whenever before we get the classes that we're paying for. No, we had to move fairly quickly on that. And again, thankfully, we had and have an incredible team of teachers that are that are in the studio. So that was, thank goodness, the least of my concerns there.
A big thank you goes out to our team.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
like, we can't ignore how different this experience is depending on where you live. I think we do have an incredible amount of privilege living in this system. There's always ways that it should be better and stronger, and we're always on our side of things, working to try and make that side of it better, and we're voting to make it better. And but as far as the American politics is very heavy on my mind right now. And that I just want to, anyone in that's has a studio, or would like to chat about the American side of things, in the United States, reach out to me. Let's chat, because I do think that everyone pushing and voting for a better system to take care of one another is just incredibly important, because in the US, illness means just a financial free fall. And you're lucky if you make it. I've seen it. I have family members that have been through it. I have friends that have been through it. And no amount of like mindset work, or movement or whatever, mindfulness isn't going to replace the access to healthcare. Like, that has to be there. And it's not just, it is a little bit political, but it doesn't have to be. It's about practical. And as wellness professionals, we should be advocating for systems that allow people to heal. Okay, that's my 2 cents.
And then, we don't want to praise the German healthcare. I know that Germany has not the best ones, and there are better ones. Without
Yep.
saying which is good and bad, but there are better plan, not plans, better systems in place.
Yep. Germany also they have to step up their game, and they also have things to make better. And which is also why we are, as active as possible, also in the scene, working towards making things better out here as well. Yes. So everything that we've been talking about today, it's not about us telling you what you should do. Because, like we're saying, every studio is different, every country is different, all of the systems that you have around you is different, and every financial reality is different. So we're just sharing things that helped us get through a very trying time. It's not a checklist. And again, we're not, it's not a prescription of what you should do. It's just, maybe spend a little bit of time thinking if there's one aspect of today's episode that can help you, one system to put into place. What would it be? What can you do? And it's about reflection before the crisis. Chris, two
Oh,
words.
let's say, yeah, oh yeah, or, or maybe. But it's also, if you set your business up and you're kind of ready for a crisis, it's not that we want one. It makes you think about the business in a completely different way. And if one of what Hannah was saying, one of our suggestions today is just a suggestion, we don't tell you what you have to do, will help you to maintain or sustain your business longer, then we're happy. And of
Absolutely.
course, you can reach out and ask and tell us, oh, I did do this one or do this one, or I have a different way how to do it. Perfect. It doesn't have to be our way, it's just one way.
That is perfect place to end. So everyone, you know, exchanging ideas and changing people's lives one session at a time. This was the Pilates Exchange. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us. We are wishing you the very best day and happy teaching, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.